Roy Manning was outside linebackers coach at UCLA, and he helped recruit the number one player in the 2017 class to UCLA in Jalen Phillips. He is now playing linebacker for Miami, and folks are bullish on Miami because they get all these transfers that came in last year eligible, guys like Bubba Bolden, among others. But I'm also interested in that Murray sets you up for 21. Unless he gets a waiver, he's not going to be eligible to play right away at Oklahoma. He's not a grad transfer. Also played 3 games at center as a true freshman. Means he was the first such true freshman to start at that position for the Bruins since 1982 when he had. So prodigious talent there, right? Prodigious and talent are the same word, RJ. Come on, man. Or they mean the same thing. I say that to say, now you have another guy that gives Bill Bedenbaugh some much needed flexibility. Also means that you have what I think could be an outstanding offensive line when it comes to pure talent in 2021. You're looking at perhaps left tackle of Stacey Wilkins, a left guard of Chris Murray, a center of Andrew Rain, a right guard of EJ Ndoma Ogar, and a right tackle of Bray Walker. It's outstanding. That's how you draw it up, man. And the reason that I have Rain playing center is precisely because Bill Bedenbaugh said he expects the kiddo to learn to play the position, but he also loves versatility. He believes that a right guard should be able to play left guard and vice versa. And a center is important in what he's doing because that man not only has to know how to snap the football, but also makes all of the audibles for them on the offensive line. Now, the last time we saw Wilkins, he needed to add some muscle to his frame. But if you remember Tyrese Thompson, you can see where Stacey Wilkins could be. It's also interesting to note Daryl Simpson still has some things he can show on that offensive line. And when you look at what Nate Anderson could be based on his athleticism alone, I could see him battling for one of these spots. Anton Harrison is going to be on his come up, and so is Aaron Parks, AJ. It's a really outstanding group for Bedenbaugh, who has done nothing but turn his offensive linemen into the kind of guys that get drafted into the first 4 rounds. Ben Powers, Drew Samia, yes, of course, Cody Ford. But now we're going to wait and see what happens with Creed Humphrey, because this is a player for which Riley has said is the most talented guy on their team. And this is when Kyler Murray was the quarterback. You need him to be great this year. You also need him to lend his extensive knowledge to EJ and to Andrew, who are 2 guys I expect to play some version of center if one can't, right? And it's always going to be hard to really pick that guy out in high school because usually your best offensive lineman in high school does not play center. Murray also adds experience to an offensive line that will be inexperienced in 21. Right? I mean, assuming Stacey Wilkins plays behind Eric Swenson, probably going to end up with 5 new starters on that offensive line in 21. But I really like that one, right? Even on paper right now, I like it more than I like the offensive line today, which is in keeping with what I think about OU football, which is that it's all setting up for 21. This year, we have DraftKings setting the win totals for Oklahoma at 10.5, right? The last 3 years, the Sooners have gone 12-2, 12-2, 12-2. Lincoln Riley is 36-6. Now, the Texas take is he's 0-3 in bowl games. It's like, all right, they're playoff semifinals, but, whatever. They're also getting the same odds to win the 2020 national championship this year as Notre Dame, which ain't that great, quite honestly. And the idea that you give better odds to win the national championship to LSU at this point, I still think is not asinine, but it doesn't mesh with for me because Miles Brennan isn't Joe Burrow, and neither is Spencer Rattler, but we all think that Rattler's a better quarterback than Brennan, just on paper. But also because you don't know what you got defensively, and you're going through not just wholesale changes where you lose a starting safety, a starting corner, defensive line, your entire linebacking core, but also you go into a different scheme. I think this is going to be a year where OU looks really good for having kept Alex Grinch on the payroll because he had opportunities. Colorado, Michigan State, Washington State. Now you have a year of his system. Now you have a year of the kiddos learning what it means to play in his, quote, speed D. You also had the first class that he wanted playing in his defense, particularly in the secondary where he wanted to get longer, rangier, faster. I've always thought that was a difficult thing to do, particularly at cornerback, because show me a 6'3" cornerback and I'll show you a unicorn. All right? But then again, seeing guys like Jordan Mooks, who's committed in this 21 class, who is 6'3", could go to 6'4". Seeing guys like Justin Harrington, junior college transfer, expected to get here, well, in the fall now, seeing as you can't actually be on campus this summer, play some nickel or some safety. Bryson Washington, he's 6'2". All right, he's been able to identify those kids, which is one thing. Then he's able to get them to sign, which is something else entirely. Latrell McCutcheon, we'll see what happens with him, but he could make you look really good. Also getting into this place where Riley gets to show what he's good at when it comes to recruiting, which is keeping the kids really connected with him and the program. Stories about Mario Williams, who is a 4-star wide receiver out of Plant City, Florida, and playing billiards on his phone with Riley and being competitive about it. Guys that I think absolutely like to be involved in whatever it is that the coach is doing. And, you know, it speaks well if your coach is willing to engage with you in games that don't matter, but also text you at times when you're not expecting to hear from him. And during this dead period, that is paramount. During this dead period, everybody needs to be on their phone all the time, FaceTiming all the time, Zooming all the time. It's either that or we're probably watching TV